believe in the Department of, where did I say? Department of Interior's databases. I know it makes no sense. As we witnessed last week, we can't get answers from Dr. Fauci about what NIH has been funding because he is hiding behind the Fifth Amendment. Taxpayers deserve to know how their dollars are being spent in Washington, and we have an obligation here to show them. In June, the Senate unanimously passed my bipartisan Stop Secret Spending Act to require OTAs to be publicly disclosed on usaspending.gov, just like all other government spending. I very much appreciate Senators Peters and Hassan, whose support was critical for making this happen. I was also delighted last month when the House approved the bipartisan companion bill introduced by Representatives Moore and Panetta, which is now at the desk here in the Senate. We all know Congress can't agree on very much these days. So it makes a very powerful statement when folks on both sides of the aisle and from both chambers come together by passing this transparency bill to hold Washington accountable for how Americans' tax dollars are being spent. With fraudsters stealing $1.4 billion every single day, we need this information now so we can account for who is taking tax dollars and why they are taking them. Earlier today, I attended the meeting of the Vice President's task force to eliminate fraud at the White House, and the success of this effort depends on being able to track how dollars are being spent. Unfortunately, some governors are impeding anti-fraud efforts by blocking access to spending information about how tax dollars from Washington are being spent in their own states. We can't stop what we can't see, but we can do our part by passing the Stop Secret Spending Act today. This bill will end the secrecy about how tens of billions of dollars are being spent every single year. There are no excuses for delaying sending this bill to the president today to become law. In fact, the only reason to oppose the Stop Secret Spending Act is if you have something to hide. As if in legislative session and notwithstanding Rule 22, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 2069, which was received from the House. I further ask that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there an objection?
President.
Senator from Texas.
Reserving the right to object. I understand that my colleague from Iowa is deeply interested in getting this legislation passed, and I appreciate the diligence and effort she has devoted to this legislation. This is a good bill. I support her bill. Indeed, I voted for her bill, as did every other member of this body. But the Senate also has a great many other bills that we are working on, that we have passed, and that have run into a roadblock in the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives currently is refusing to take up Senate-passed bills, and rather is passing almost exclusively House bills. This is an unreasonable position for the House to take. And indeed, it is not a theoretical position. It is what the House has done on this very bill.
Ultra help.
On this bill, Senator Ernst introduced it. The Senate passed it unanimously. It was sent to the House, and what did the House do? They did not pass the Senate passed bill. Instead, they passed essentially the identical bill, but as a House measure. Now, mind you, that was not because they had any substantive objections to Senator Ernst's bill, but rather it was because they were refusing to do their job as another chamber in this Congress. Among the bills that the Senate has passed that are sitting languishing at the House right now is a bill that I have worked very hard to pass called Trey's Law. Trey's Law is named for Trey Carlin, a beloved citizen of Dallas who tragically, as a young boy, was a victim of sexual assault at a summer camp. Litigation ensued, and Trey ended up signing an NDA where he was blocked by law from sharing the details of the horrific sexual abuse he endured. That silence weighed on Trey powerfully, and he ultimately took his own life at age 28. Trey's Law is an initiative that has been championed by Trey's sister Elizabeth. Numerous states, including my home state of Texas, including, Mr. President, your home state of Missouri, have passed Trey's Law. And in the Senate, I introduced Trey's Law as bipartisan legislation, and the Senate passed it 100-0. And it is sitting at the House, languishing, not because anyone objects to it, but simply because the House has decided not to process Senate bills. So, as my friend Senator Ernst knows, I have placed a hold on House bills until the House starts taking up and passing Senate bills. I have been actively in negotiation with House leadership, and I'm confident this issue will get resolved. The House is going to take up and do their job and pass Senate bills, and the Senate will likewise take up and pass out House bills. And I am confident in particular that Senator Ernst will succeed in passing this bill into law this year with my enthusiastic support. But often in Congress, the only way to get a change of action is to exercise leverage. And that is what I am doing now to get the House to take up and pass important bills. And so, therefore, at this time at least, I object.
The objection is heard. Senator from Iowa.
You know, I can appreciate the dilemma that many of us are in as we debate these very important bills. And they are very important bills. And so what I have in front of me here at my desk is a list of 59 House bills that have been passed this Congress. They are HR bills, they're HJ Resolution 140, HR 7147, 59 House bills that have already passed through the Senate in this Congress. Now, I understand that we all have ways that we have to use leverage. I completely understand that. Matter of fact, the bill that I have passed through this chamber, you know, I would love to have it as an S bill, a Senate bill. And I would love to see my name at the top of the bill rather than a House bill. The companion bill was passed by the House. So, again, I'd love to see my name at the top of the bill and it listed as a Senate bill. I discussed it with my staff. I'm in the last 6 months of my final term in the United States Senate. I'd love to have more of my legacy items with my name on it. But I told my staff, it's more important that we get these bills done. I don't care if it's a House bill. I don't care if this has my name all over it. The important thing is that when we have good pieces of legislation put in front of us, and that we've worked hard in a bipartisan manner, in a bicameral manner, and it's good for the American people, that we move forward with those bills. So I am disappointed today that my piece of legislation under the title of a House bill will not be moving. And I know that many of our constituencies will be greatly disappointed. I do hope in the future that between the Senate Republican leadership and House Republican leadership, that we can come together on these issues. Because this is not good for the American people when we have this infighting on good, solid pieces of legislation. We can do better. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Hawaii.
Mr. President, the price of everything.
Listening to lawmakers there speaking on the Senate floor. We are going to take this opportunity to slide away for a quick 2-minute commercial break. And just a reminder, in moments, President Trump is set to speak there in Las Vegas. We will be bringing that to you here on Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Maybe commercial.
Proteiinin nälkään saarioisten trotsku. Ruokaa, jossa on proteiinia ihan luonnostaan.
Welcome back in the Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Anna Marson, a live look right now in Las Vegas. And inside the Red Rock Casino, we know that any moment now, President Trump will be speaking there. He is set to speak actually right now at 1:30 local time. So, of course, we don't see the president yet, but as soon as we see him stepping onto the stage, we will be sure to carry out those remarks for you in full right here on Live Now from Fox. We know that President Trump is expected to emphasize key provisions of the tax package, including the elimination of federal taxes on tips, social security benefits, as well as overtime pay. The administration says the measures are designed to increase take-home pay and provide financial relief for working families. White House spokesperson Liz Johnson said the tax reforms guaranteed Americans receive bigger paychecks and keep more of their hard-earned money. Nevada, a crucial battleground state with a large service industry workforce that depends heavily on tips, has been a focal point in the national debate over tax policy. The president expected to use this Las Vegas visit to underscore the benefits of tax cuts for Nevada workers, while contrasting his administration's economic agenda with that of congressional Democrats who oppose the legislation. So once again, any moment now, President Trump is set to take the stage there and speak. We will, of course, go to that as soon as we see that underway. In the meantime, let's go live right now to the Senate floor as we have Senator Brian Schatz currently speaking. Let's listen in.
Has banned wind and solar energy through their administrative actions And that is spiking the price of utilities across the country. And that's all before you factor in the war in Iran, which, in addition to being a spectacular failure that has achieved very little of Trump's own stated goals, has also caused gas and energy and food prices to spike everywhere. Gas is over $4 right now nationally, and it's even higher in Hawaii at $5.45. Diesel is $50 more, which means that we're all paying more and transportation. Electricity bills went up 20% in 1 month. 20% in 1 month because of skyrocketing oil prices. And food prices continue to climb everywhere as the closure of the Strait of Hormuz extends a global fertilizer shortage. It is common for presidents to have to deal with the problems related to the economy, and specifically, what can be a real political killer is the question of inflation. But this is very unusual and maybe unprecedented in American history. You have a president of the United States whose stated policy on tariffs, on energy, on Iran, on healthcare, on food, is to raise the price of everything. That is not a sort of accidental outcome of his economic policy. It is his economic policy to raise the price of everything. People are going broke, and they are doing it
sniper capability
to you on purpose. I yield the floor.
Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I was never going to come out here and support Todd Blanche for a long list of reasons. I do believe he is one of the most corrupt Justice Department officials in our country's history, for one. He was Trump's former personal lawyer, and it seems that he never quit. The only difference now is that taxpayers are signing his checks instead of Trump. He was the one who negotiated a $1.8 billion slush fund to pay off violent insurrectionists, and he called back from a deal to give the president and his entire corrupt family immunity from IRS investigations. Not to forget, Todd Blanche is the guy who botched the Epstein files so badly, survivors had their names and faces exposed, while the names of alleged abusers were hidden. This is a man who wouldn't meet with survivors until senators put him under a tremendous amount of public pressure, and when the meeting eventually got on the books, survivors made it crystal clear Blanche didn't listen to them. He was more interested in checking a box than hearing their stories or bringing them justice. All of that is, of course, absolutely unacceptable and disqualifying. But I come here today to sound the alarm on some of the most disturbing comments I've ever heard from the nation's top law enforcement official. Mr. President, I guess Todd Blanche thought no one was listening, because on a private call with anti-abortion activists, Mr. Blanche told us all exactly what he plans to do if senators confirm him. His goal was to make the Dobbs decision, and I quote, permanent in every single state. Every single state, not just Texas or Idaho. He wants to ban abortion in Washington state, in California, in New York, in every state. He told them, quote, we will have victory, and victory will be soon, and it will be permanent. Victory over what exactly? Victory over women who just want to make their own healthcare decisions? Victory over patients in states where abortion is legal? Where voters have said over and over at the ballot box, keep your hands off our rights. Now, a DOJ spokesperson tried to clean up Blanche's words, saying he was only focused on restricting access to medication abortion in all 50 states. I think that's somehow better. Well, I'm here to say I believe the tape. I believe Todd Blanche's own words. So let's be crystal clear about what this vote is. A vote to confirm Todd Blanche is a vote to endorse his fight to ban abortion in all 50 states. Whatever happened to this state's decision? So every Republican who votes yes is voting for exactly that, his words, not mine. And any Republican who votes to confirm him will own that in every state, in every election. So, Mr. President, this isn't just a confirmation vote anymore. It is a roll call vote on which senators endorse banning abortion in all 50 states from the federal level. I'm voting no. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Senator Patty Murray speaking on the Senate floor. We are going to take this opportunity to slide away for a quick 2-minute commercial break. But before that, just another live look out in Las Vegas as we are waiting for President Trump to take the stage. We have this tweet coming from Fox's Edward Lawrence saying, "Waiting on POTUS, so are we. We're all waiting right now." So this event set to get underway any moment now. President Trump speaking there at Red Rock Casino in Las Vegas. We're going to slide away for 2 minutes. We'll be right back.
Flow through in lower cost to American citizens, lower cost to American businesses, and as businesses grow and hire more workers, that pushes up wages.
If you're just joining us now, we are also
Welcome back in the Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Anna Marsick. We're starting right now with a live look inside Red Rock Casino there in Las Vegas, Nevada, where President Trump is set to take the stage at any moment now. This is what he deemed to be the birthplace of his no tax on tips idea, the state of Nevada, which he claims came up during a conversation with a waitress at a restaurant. The New York Post has some interesting facts on this, saying the mega law that he backed allows service workers to deduct up to $25,000 on qualified tips from their income taxes between 2025 and 2028. That, of course, is a big topic that President Trump is supposed to be discussing there. Nevada is a service industry heavy state, and its tax refunds jumped up from $3,643 to $4,193, according to the New York Post, which is an increase of roughly 15% from that law, according to data that was shared by the White House. And this year, Nevada has had the 4th highest average tax return in the country. So we, of course, will be carrying out his remarks as soon as we see them get underway here on Live Now from Fox. But in the meantime, what we are going to do is we're going to head back out to the Senate floor as we are hearing from senators right now. Sheldon Whitehouse speaking. Let's listen in.
For remarks, I'd be recognized to go through the parliamentary steps necessary for the vote.
Without objection. Senator from West Virginia.
I thank the distinguished senator from Rhode Island for recognizing me, but also for giving give me a chance to talk about my opposition to SJ Res 187. As he explained, this resolution would rescind Trump's EPA extension of the start date for PFAS reporting under Section 8 of TSCA. The CRA only does one thing about the rule, and that's the date that the reporting window opens. It would force the window to open months before the EPA's reporting system is even ready to receive submissions. The EPA moved this date for a straightforward reason. The infrastructure needed to support this reporting program is still being built. Companies will file this data through EPA's electronic system, the Central Data Exchange. Across two administrations, that's the previous administration and this one, the EPA has moved this reporting window 3 separate times for this very reason, because the electronic platform that companies must use is just not complete. Both the Biden and the Trump era at EPA have explained in detail the technical challenges associated with this reporting program. This rule requires that the collection of more than a decade of historic PFAS information from thousands of entities and across a broad range of uses. The CRA cannot make the EPA build the system faster, and it won't address contamination or pollution in the interim. The only real effect it will have is to force an unworkable deadline, not to stand up a PFAS reporting system that works for the long term, and that's what we all want. So consider what this would really mean. It would set a federal reporting deadline that is physically impossible to meet, putting both regulated entities and the EPA in a very difficult position. There is no finished system to file through, and there's no time left to assemble all of those years of data. And it would do this while exposing small businesses and manufacturers to potential enforcement for failing to comply with the reporting requirement that EPA itself has concluded cannot be met. So I've seen the impact of PFAS contamination firsthand in my home state of West Virginia. And I think Senator Whitehouse and I agree that this is an issue, an important issue that we need to address. I've led efforts to try to clean up legacy contamination, protect communities that did not cause this pollution, like our water utilities and our farmers, and to ensure that polluters bear the responsibility for the PFAS cleanup. I've helped secure funding to address PFAS contamination in the communities that need it the most. And I've shared hearing after hearing on PFAS cleanup, disposal, and liability. So I think my record is very clear on this. So addressing PFAS should not be a partisan issue. We shouldn't, both parties, both chambers, both of us, and 2 consecutive administrations have recognized PFAS is a serious public health challenge that requires practical solution. But this does not make PFAS reporting more effective. It does not make the reporting system come online any faster. And it does not provide communities with better data. So I would urge a no vote for my colleagues. And with that, I'll yield back to Senator Whitehouse.
Senator from Rhode Island.
Well, I'm sorry that we can't agree on this particular provision, because we are working together on so many things so well. But I'll have to confess, I have real doubts about whether EPA is really trying to put this together as deadline after deadline slips and slips and slips. So perhaps we'll see what happens. But if for some reason this CRA should fail, perhaps we can come back again after EPA slips the deadline again, and perhaps has baked in some goodies for the PFAS industry along the way. And if we can't do it today, then soon send a bipartisan message to the EPA to knock it off and get about their business with PFAS. So with that, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate resume legislative session.
Without objection.
And I move to proceed to calendar number 532, SJ Res 187.
The clerk will report.
Motion to proceed to calendar number 532, SJ Res 187, providing for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5 United States Code and so forth.
And And I ask for the ayes and nays.
Is there sufficient second? There appears to be. Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsterbrooks, Mr. Armstrong, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Blunt Rochester, Mr. Booker.
All right, just listening in as the Senate floor there begins the roll call. We will continue to monitor the Senate floor. Just a reminder, we are waiting for President Trump to speak in Las Vegas, Nevada there at the Red Rock Casino. He is, of course, set to talk about the working families' tax cuts and their impact on American workers. Of course, we will be bringing you his remarks in full as soon as we get them into our newsroom here on Live Now from Fox. As we continue monitoring this feed, and we are waiting for President Trump to step out and speak. We have this coming from Fox's Edward Lawrence saying, waiting on POTUS. So are we. Edward Lawrence also actually put something on X earlier today saying people were lining up as early as 5:30 this morning. So once again, everybody anticipating President Trump's speech there in Las Vegas. We'll carry that out for you here on Live Now from Fox. But for now, we are just going to slide away for a quick 2-minute commercial break. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Anna Marsick, just showing you one more live look there out in...
Kohta on keskiyö. Mitä teet vielä hereillä? Tilaa unelmiesi sänky Beljanilta. Nauti makoisammista unista ja palaa unien pariin tyylillä.
Laajen valikoimaan, houkuttelevat hinnat, Beljani.fi.
Fox. In the meantime, we are going to show you a live look right now at the Ohio State Fair. That on your screen right now is GOP Ohio Governor candidate Vivek Ramaswamy at the Ohio State Fair there. The Republican gubernatorial candidate for Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy, is at the fair today. And moments ago, he did stop to speak to the media, making some remarks during a press gaggle. We wanted to play that out for you here on Live Now from Fox as we await President Trump's remarks.
As far as data centers go, some people are concerned about quite a bit. Do you have any thoughts on either restrictions or restrictions or like hurdles people should know about?
So what I'll say is stay tuned. We have something coming very soon on this. I really think Ohioans deserve clear answers from both camps, from the governor, about exactly what we're going to do. What I will say is I'm really sympathetic to the concerns that people across our state have. And the basic principles have to be, not only should we not pay more electric bills, you should pay meaningfully less in electric bills. You should pay lower property taxes, And we have to respect our environment. That includes air and water quality, and it also includes our farmland. So for me, those are core priorities, while at the same time ensuring we bring high-paying jobs to Ohio. So that's what I've been saying since day one of the campaign. It remains my position today. But stay tuned, because very soon we're going to have much more to say about tangibly what I'm going to do as governor, including setting policy for this important issue. So, thank you.
All right, we'll go to Sarah right here in the front row from WOC.
Thank you. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, so the number one thing that I hear from farmers is something that I think we all should know, which is it is a tough time to be a farmer. And this is our most important industry. It's our oldest industry. And what I tell them is, as governor, I'm going to have their back in a way that probably no governor actually has, because now is the moment to really make sure that they're also participating in the gains of economic development. One of the conversations I had right before the show got started was about the importance of bringing dairy processors to Ohio. That's a good example when you think about processing cheese, even when you think about other products like yogurt and ice cream. That's an area where we can say it's not economic development versus agriculture, it's economic development and supporting agriculture by increasing demand for our farmers' products. And all the way dating back to last year, this is one of the early policy positions I committed to in this campaign. And so to me, standing for our farmers is a top priority. Protecting our continuous fertile farmland is also a top priority. As I said on to Jesse's question on the issue of data centers, I'll be having more to say that from hard policy commitments coming very soon. But those are the core principles. And I also say I'm proud to be the first candidate endorsed in decades by organizations like the Corn and Wheat Farmers, by the Ohio Cattlemen's Association. I think I am the only candidate in this race to enjoy any endorsement from a major agricultural group or community. That means a lot to me. They're an important part of our coalition, and they're going to be an important part of the future of our state when I leave. So thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll go to Avery with anything over here.
And before I go there, Avery, we'll come to you next. I just wanted to say a word about, this is the final 90 days until the election. One of the things that I have been doing, and the reason we've been hearing from our agricultural community, is that I'm going to county fairs across the state. We went to Clinton County Fair. Some of you were there. I was in Butler County. I saw a few others of you there. We were in Claremont County last week. I'm now at the Ohio State Fair. And one of the things we've done at every one of the county fairs we've gone to is that we will just show up and take open questions from anybody who's willing to ask, respectfully. Democrats, Republicans, independents, people who vote for me, people who vote for my opponent. And I think that's a really important part of this process for our voters, to hear directly from our candidates and to be able to ask them questions. I think our county fairs are really important for that. And to that effect, in a friendly way, not in any way combative, in a friendly way, I really want to challenge my opponent, Amy Acton, to show up to a county fair. Show up to at least a couple of them. We're going to many across the state. But I think she owes it to the people of this state, in this fair, in the season of our county fairs, to just show up to one or two county fairs and take unscripted, open questions from the voters. I've been doing that for 18 months of this campaign, and with due respect to my opponent, to have gone 18 months of her campaign without having done that once, I think should raise some serious questions. And I do think that voters deserve to be able to ask questions directly, face-to-face, of the candidates who are asking for their vote to be the next governor. And so, in the most respectful and friendly ways, I challenge her while the county fairs are still going on. Come out to a couple of them, take questions like I've been, and I think our state and our voters will be better off for it. So, thank you. With that, Avery. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'd like to start with one of the positives, right? Because Springfield has been the center of gravity for this particular issue. I was really gratified to see major economic development announcements in Springfield literally in the last 2 weeks. So it's almost perfect timing for your question to see that we're bringing nearly 2,000 new jobs to Springfield through major new construction, that's really meaningful to me. I mean, I've got family that until recently lived in Springfield for the last several decades. I spent a lot of time there growing up. I used to, spend summers at Wittenberg University, and we used to go to Mike and Rosie's and have sandwiches. And to me, to watch Springfield go through some tough times in the last few decades, but to now turn around and make a comeback, I think is actually a bit of positive news that I'd like to congratulate, by the way, the current leaders of the state for helping bring in, and the local leaders in Springfield who I was in touch with through the period of time they were looking to make these announcements. I think it's great news, and I think it's a good sign, to answer your question, that not only is Springfield's economy and Dayton's economy, that's where you're from, right? Springfield's and Dayton's economy, I think, are about to turn a corner if we have a governor at the top who really understands how to bring down the tax burden, how to bring down the red tape and regulatory burden, how to focus on workforce development for the people who are graduating from Ohio's own high schools. Think about Springfield High School East, you think about North, you think about all of the local high schools in that region. We want to introduce those young people to those skilled professions in the trades, to be carpenters or electricians or builders. And the fact that we're doing that, and I'm going to aim to do even better when I'm governor, is a big part of why we're seeing communities like Springfield turn that corner. And so am I worried about the economy for Springfield? If we get it right and I'm in charge, I'm not worried. To the contrary, I think we're going to continue that economic growth. And there's a lot of good news ahead. And on TPS, temporary means temporary. That's the law. If you don't like the law, change the law. And that's the law we have to follow. That's what I'm saying. That's my first point. Thank you. So elimination of both of those, to be clear, is not going to happen. Okay, it's going to be one, which is elimination of income taxes on my watch. And we have a gradual 10-year plan to phase it out. But one of the pieces of good news that we've learned is we've actually already done most of the heavy lifting of getting zero income tax in the last half decade. And people ask the same question of where would the revenue come from? A piece of good news this year. Ohio got $1.5 billion of revenue above and beyond what the projections were supposed to be, because more people stay in Ohio when you move down the income tax rate. So I think when we take our income tax rate down to zero, we're actually going to see more economic expansion. We're going to see more sales tax revenue because more people are spending right here in Ohio. We're going to see more investment in Ohio because that includes the capital gains tax going to zero. And I'm really committed to make sure that we have an education funding system that funds students. That's what we care about, a system that actually funds students. And if we have a shortfall, I'm committed to making sure that shortfall and that gap is fully filled. But we have to first make sure that we're actually fixing the way that the bureaucracy that weighs down our schools is functioning. And to that end, what I see since the COVID pandemic is property taxes have gone up way too much. We have to reset the property tax base to where it was before the end of the pandemic. And our schools were actually performing better before the pandemic than they are now. The real question is why. And I think this is worth talking about. Why were schools in Ohio performing better before the COVID pandemic than they are today? The answer is the shutdown of our public schools. That is the single most devastating policy decision made for Ohio public schools in the modern history of our state. And for me, it's particularly sad because I went to public schools through 8th grade in Cincinnati, and then I went to St. X, where I had a unique opportunity to go to high school. St. X High School was closed for 5 days during the COVID pandemic. Cincinnati public schools were closed for nearly 2 years. Those kids in those public schools never got those 2 years of their public education back. And I'm sorry to say that it was directly due to decisions advocated for by my public and enacted in this race that led to those public school closures. So the reason I'm in this race is I'm a father of young children. I care about ensuring kids in Ohio get the best education they can of any kid in this country. And I think we can get there. And I'm also committed to making sure funding is not an obstacle. Should a statewide component of funding be important going forward? Absolutely yes. That's a bipartisan idea supported by both Republicans and Democrats in our legislature, and I support it too. But I also believe that we're going to be able to bring down property taxes while improving education by actually making sure that we fund our students and give parents the tools they need to hold everybody accountable. And that's what I'll be doing this go. All right, so thank you. And one thing again, I'll say in closing, I just think with 88 days left or whatever it is, it's really important. The voters need to hear directly from both candidates, right? And I'm talking to your members of the press, you're not the voters, but I'll talk to you and answer your questions too. But the most important questions we need to answer are directly from voters. Doing town halls. I'm doing town halls every week, every weekend, going to the county fairs, and I just think it would be so much better for the state of Ohio if both candidates were actually showing up in venues like this to open town halls with unscripted questions, and in a friendly way, but also in a serious way. It's a challenge to my opponent, and I think the voters of the state will be better off if she actually takes us up on that. So all the best, and thank you.